Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be talking through my spoiler-free review for the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. So if you didn't know about the Shadow and Bone trilogy, it is actually a fantasy YA series and it's set in this world where Grisha exist. Grisha are magic users and they essentially manipulate the elements around them, and that's how they use their magic. They cannot make things out of nothing, they have to use things that are pre-existing, which I think is a very cool concept. Now, I did read somewhere that this isn't a YA series, but I would definitely say that it is. It is just written that way. There is nothing too intense in here, nothing overly explained. There's definitely not really any sexual content at all, and the sexual content that is in there is very, very watered down. It's not graphic in any way, shape or form, so I would say that this is suitable for young adult readers. And definitely for people that are interested in getting into fantasy but don't want anything too intense, I think this would be a really good option. So the three books that are in this series, we have the first book, which is Shadow and Bone, the second, which is Siege and Storm, and then the third and final one, which is Ruin and Rising. There are two duologies, I believe. You have the Six of Crows duology and then the King of Scars duology, and I think there are two other books that are to do with the world and the Grisha, but I'm not entirely sure. I think they're kind of seen as the Bible of this series, but I'm not certain, so don't quote me on that. But I do believe there are more books than just the ones that I've mentioned. So it's quite an expansive universe, especially for a young adult series. It's more intense than what I was expecting it to be and far more thought through than what I was expecting as well. So I'm going to do the review as a whole of the trilogy because, to be honest, I gave all of these books the same rating, so they ended up being the same in the end anyway, and I don't want to talk through any plot points or anything like that to spoil the series for you, but I am going to give you a brief wrap up of what the trilogy is about. So we are following a young girl called Alina, and she doesn't believe that she has any magical abilities whatsoever. When a major event happens in her life and she is filled with pain and anger, it seems to trigger something within her system, and that's when her powers actually start to show through. And the powers that she has are very rare and not something that you see very often. So of course the big boss, the Darkling, wants to take Alina away and almost get her to work on her powers and her abilities to become stronger so that he can use her for whatever purpose he wants. I'm not going to tell you what he is using her for, you will have to find out by reading the series, but just a very interesting way to start. I will mention as well there are these things in this world called Amplifiers that seem to make Grisha's powers stronger, and they're different objects for each person, so that is a major part of this story, but again I won't go any further than that really. Apart from that, it is a big part of this world and the storyline that we are following. So we do follow Alina throughout the whole of the three books and her story and the different things that happen to her. There are some major events that happen in here. I will also mention that there are 3 separate romances, so quite a few, all surrounding our main character. So it's definitely going in with that love triangle, love quartet vibe, which isn't my favourite thing in the world, and the person that she ends up with is not my personal choice of who I would have picked if I were her, but that's absolutely fine. I know a lot of people do like the love interests and are happy with the choice that Alina makes in the end. So yeah, lots of romance. It's also quite tense. There's a lot of suspense and there are some really dark moments, but as I said earlier, nothing is described too heavily or in too much detail, so I do think it would be appropriate for many audiences. So there was one thing that I didn't really connect with in this story in all 3 books, but mainly in the first one, and that is that there is this huge focus on beauty, and not in the way that you would maybe expect. It's more in that typical, not like other girls. Alina doesn't believe that she's very beautiful at all, and so apparently to her that means that she is essentially worthless and no one wants to be friends with her. But of course loads of men are very attracted to her and all the girls say she's really pretty because it is a YA series, and that's just one of the things that seems to happen in most of them, especially in the time when this book was written, kind of Twilight Era. So I really didn't appreciate that, and I don't like that a lot of the other characters are described by their beauty and how gorgeous they are, and some people do go through some events that change the way that they look, and that is a huge aspect of the book as well. I just think there was a strange focus on that, and it didn't necessarily feel like it should be in there, and didn't feel like a message that you would want teenage girls and boys to receive and think about. It just didn't sit well with me. But that is really the only thing that I didn't like about this series. I thought it was really fun. It's a very easy series to read. I would say if you're looking for a fantasy series that is super easy to get into, and really easy to fly through as well. You just want some quick reads, then I would definitely recommend this. I think I got through all 3 books within a week, I'm pretty sure, and I didn't really have that much time off either, so it's pretty good for me. The books are all around that 300 to 400 page mark. I think the middle one is the longest one, but again, it didn't take very long to read at all. The language is very easy to understand, and there are a list of names at the front that tell you the different types of Grisha, and there's also a map so you can figure out where everything is. Overall, I just thought that the world building was pretty good for a YA series. I think the characters were well fleshed out. There are a lot of morally grey characters, including our main character too, so I found that to be a nice change. She doesn't always make the correct decisions, and some of the choices that she makes do affect other people in a negative way as well. So like I say, just something nice for a change, something I wasn't expecting. We don't have this perfect, wonderful main character, even if she isn't like other girls. At least she's making some choices that feel really genuine and really human. So overall, I ended up giving all 3 of these books a 4-star rating. I did think they were very fun. I'm excited to start the Six of Crows duology, which I own, and then I think I'm going to pick up the King of Scars duology as well, because I'm really interested in that. Lots of people have said that the Six of Crows duology is one of their favourite things that they have ever read, and such a good fantasy series. So I will be starting that very soon, possibly next month, I think. I don't think I've got enough time to read it this month, and I'd probably overload myself with all of this Grishaverse. But yeah, just to wrap up, really fun, quite fast-paced, great character building, and great world building as well. So if that's what you're looking for and you want a very easy fantasy series to sink your teeth into, then definitely check this out. I had a great time with it. Please do let me know down below if you have read this series and what you thought. I know that a couple of you have, and it's not your favourite out of all of these series within this world. So as I say, I'm really excited to continue on with the other books that are in the Grishaverse. But that is everything from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!